Ravens fan, how many times have you believed this team was going all the way, only for something to go wrong at the final moment? The feeling that Baltimore is always so close but never quite gets there is frustrating. But what if I told you the Super Bowl could be closer than it seemed? There are areas that need adjustment, decisions that can change everything, and reinforcements that could turn this roster into an unstoppable machine. The road to the title isn't easy, but the Ravens have everything it takes to get there if they make the right moves. What needs to change? What pieces are missing for this team to finally lift the trophy? Stick with me until the end, because I'm going to show you exactly what Baltimore needs to conquer the Super Bowl. Go Ravens! The defense has always been the Ravens' identity, but now it needs new faces to maintain that tradition. The pass rush, once one of the most feared in the league, has lost some of its edge over time, and the defensive line is starting to feel the impact of injuries and physical wear. Key players can no longer maintain their previous level. And without strong rotation on the line, the pressure on opposing quarterbacks becomes inconsistent. This is where Baltimore needs to invest in young talent, especially at the edge rusher position, someone who can come in and make an immediate impact. The goal is simple: keep the defense aggressive and dominant, something that has always been Baltimore's trademark. In addition, the run defense needs reinforcements. The team has shown it can develop players for the defensive tackle position, but relying solely on the progress of those already on the roster is risky. A strong, physical DT, capable of handling double teams and creating space for linebackers to attack, would bring balance to the unit. In recent years, when the Ravens had a solid run defense, the team was more competitive and was able to control the tempo of the game. Without that security in the middle of the line, opponents can exploit the defense with long run and wear out the unit throughout the game. The question now is finding the right pieces in the draft. Impactful defensive line players don't come around often, and Baltimore needs to be surgical when making its picks. The team has shown it knows how to develop talent, so the strategy could be to look for players with growth potential, even if they're not ready to start on day one. The Ravens' advantage is precisely this. The franchise's culture allows rookies to develop before being thrown into the deep end. If the coaching staff finds the right players, the defense can renew itself without losing its identity. But it's not just the defense that needs adjustment. To keep the team competitive, the offensive line also needs attention, especially when it comes to protecting Lamar Jackson. Ensuring the quarterback has time in the pocket and that the run game operates smoothly will be crucial to the team's success next season. The Ravens' offensive line needs reinforcement to ensure Lamar Jackson has time and space to shine. Last season, the protection of the quarterback showed moments of instability, especially on the interior of the line. The guard position still lacks a definitive name, and this could jeopardize both the passing and running game. Without solid protection, Lamar becomes more exposed to pressure and sack, which can limit the offensive performance. Baltimore needs to decide if Roger Rosengarten will be moved to this role, or if the better option is to seek a new talent in the draft. The run game also depends on a strong line, and the Ravens have always had that offensive identity. A dominant guard can open up important gaps for the running backs and maintain balance in the offense. In the best years of Baltimore, the offensive line has always been a key pillar for the team's success. Without effective protection, the offense loses rhythm, and Lamar ends up having to improvise more than necessary. If the Ravens want a more consistent, less predictable offense, strengthening the OL must be a priority. The good news is that Baltimore has a positive track record in developing linemen. Even without investing heavily in big-name signing, the team has always found ways to develop players for the position. The draft will be an excellent opportunity to bring in a promising name who can grow within the system and, in the future, become a cornerstone of Lamar's protection. Additionally, a boost to the OL will also benefit Todd Monken's offensive scheme, which aims for a more dynamic attack balance between the passing and running game. But reinforcing the offensive line is only part of the puzzle. Another key element for the offensive success is ensuring that Lamar's targets can evolve and become more reliable. With Rashad Bateman finally gaining confidence, the question now is whether the Ravens still need to seek another wide receiver to complement the group. The Ravens have always relied on the development of their players, and this will be another season where the growth of the young ones will be decisive. The team has a strong culture of preparing athletes before throwing them into starting roles, which reduces the pressure on rookies and increases the chances of success. This process has worked well in the past, but now the question is whether the younger players are truly ready to step into bigger roles. Nate Wiggins, for example, could be the future of the secondary. But does Baltimore trust that fully, or will they seek another reinforcement for the position? The team also needs to assess how to deal with changes within the roster. Some positions are well-stocked, but there is always room for improvement. If the Ravens feel that the young players aren't ready, they could opt to bring in reinforcements in the draft and allow those players to develop without pressure. On the other hand, if the franchise decides to trust the internal development, it means the current players will have to show their worth quickly. This balance between experience and youth will be one of the most interesting storylines of the upcoming season. Baltimore has a system that facilitates this transition, and that makes all the difference when forming new talent. The team doesn't need to throw rookies into the fire immediately, but it also can't wait too long to see results. Finding the right moment to give these players more playing time will be crucial to keeping the team competitive. The draft will be an indicator of which positions the team believes already have internal solutions and which still need immediate reinforcement. One of the areas that may require one last adjustment is the wide receiver group. If the Ravens want to take the offense to the next level, it might be worthwhile to bring in another reliable target for Lamar Jackson. Even with Bateman showing improvement, there's still room for another piece to make the receiving core even more dangerous. Well, we're past the halfway point of the video, but I notice you haven't left a like yet. This is really important for YouTube to keep recommending my content to you, so I can keep bringing you updates like this. Just leave that like now. It's free and helps a lot. Thanks. Now, let's continue. The Ravens have spent years trying to find a reliable group of wide receivers, and now they seem to be on the right track. Rashad Bateman has finally shown signs of development, which brings more peace of mind to the franchise. But is that enough? Baltimore's offense has been functioning well, but it could improve even more by adding another versatile receiver to the roster. A player who can play both in the slot and run longer routes would add more dynamism to the offensive scheme. Lamar Jackson needs reliable targets to expand the passing game and make the offense more unpredictable. Zay Flowers has already shown to be an important piece, but ideally, the team would have more options for different situations. If the Ravens find a promising name in the draft, it could add even more depth to the offense. The question is whether the team sees this addition as an urgent need or just a luxury to make the offense more complete. Another important point is the receiver's adaptation to Todd Monken's scheme. The offensive coordinator has introduced changes that emphasize the passing game, but this requires the wide receivers to always be in sync with Lamar. If Baltimore brings in a young name for this position, it will be crucial for him to quickly fit into the system. The team has a history of struggling with the development of WRs, so choosing the right player will be essential to avoid past mistakes. With that, Baltimore continues its plan to strengthen the roster without compromising its identity. The draft will be a key piece in this puzzle, and how the Ravens approach their picks could define the team's future. What makes Baltimore one of the most consistent teams in the league is precisely its ability to find talent and develop it at the right time. If there's one thing that sets the Ravens apart from many other franchises, it's the way the team builds its roster. Baltimore doesn't panic to fill gaps, nor does it rely on quick fixes that may not last. The team uses a draft as its main tool to keep the roster competitive, without needing big free agent signing. This method has proven to be effective and should continue to be the way to strengthen the most vulnerable position. The key to this strategy is that the Ravens don't put unnecessary pressure on their rookies. While other teams expect a first-round pick to be an immediate starter, Baltimore prefers to prepare them before giving them significant responsibility. This creates an environment where the rookies can develop without skipping step, which increases their chances of long-term success. That's why the Ravens always seem to have replacements ready when they lose key players. Another strong point of the team is how they find value in later picks. Baltimore has a history of turning overlooked players into key pieces for the roster. This is the result of excellent scouting work and a coaching staff that knows how to get the most out of each player's talent. If the Ravens follow this formula in the upcoming draft, they could find new starters without spending fortunes on outside reinforcement. Now, the expectation is to see what the team's picks will be between April 24th and 26th at the NFL Draft. If Baltimore maintains its tradition of selecting the right players for its system, the team will remain strong and ready for another competitive season. So, Ravens fan, Now you know what the team needs to do to win the Super Bowl. With the right adjustments in the draft and well-made strategic decisions, Baltimore could finally take the next step toward the title. The question is, do you believe the Ravens will fill these gaps and get there next season? Leave a comment with your thoughts on the team's needs and which reinforcements you think would make all the difference. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all things Ravens.